Spending within your income can be hard. I mean, just think about how many marketing messages are ambushing you every single day. Back in the 1970s, it was tracked that the average person saw between 500 to 1,600 ads per day. That's a lot of ads. Now, if you fast forward to 2021, the average person is now estimated to encounter between 6,000 to 10,000 ads every single day. That is bananas. Whether we're scrolling social media, listening to Spotify, or just walking around town, we are being sold to constantly. And so it can be really hard to keep your dollars as your dollars. Not to mention, spending money gives you an instant dopamine boost, something that our brains really, really like. Getting something new feels fun and exciting, and it's really easy to do with 10,000 ads being shown to you every single day. Whereas living within your financial means requires you to play defense and have a plan. Today I'm going to talk about 5 things that I learned about overspending. I'm Lorianne, and if you want to learn how to live with financial security and freedom, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out on future videos. My journey with overspending really started out of an avoidance pattern with money. I was not very conscious of how much money I had, how much money I had to spend, what I should be doing with my money, and so income came in and income went right back out. And I really was a sucker for a good deal, right? That's part of how I was raised. As I go shopping with my mom, we'd go to garage sales, we'd go to thrift stores, we'd be looking for the great deal. And how that parlayed as I got older and was earning income from my job without a real plan on how to spend it was like, if something was on sale, I wasn't buying the thing on sale and then saving the money. I was buying 2 of them because they were on sale. It was a great deal. And so these sales really got me. And I spent more money than I needed to, and I ultimately ended up spending more money than I had and ending up in $40,000 of debt. So it might help you right now to reflect on, what sort of things do you tend to overspend on, and why do you overspend on them? Let me know in the comments. Almost 50% of Americans, and it's even higher, 2 out of 3 millennials, tend to spend emotionally and overspend emotionally. And there is a huge cost of this because wealth building doesn't really start until you have money saved, right? You need to have money in order to invest money so that that money can grow on its own. And I didn't realize that every time I overspent, what I was actually robbing myself of was passive income that I could have been earning through my investments. So here's what I learned on my journey out of overspending. The first thing is that more money isn't always the answer to your financial problems. I used to think, I just need to make more. I just need to make more. But if you can't manage $1,000, then you can't manage $10,000 or $100,000 or $1 million. Now, there are exceptions. Sometimes people are genuinely living below the poverty line. They're struggling to pay for their monthly necessities, and they need to consider alternative streams of income. But a lot of people are not focusing on making the best use of the money they already have, and they think the only solution is to earn more income. Number 2, you can't avoid your finances. So when I was stressed about a situation, I would tend to avoid it. I think that's pretty common, or it's a common type of response. And so I would avoid looking at my bank statements or my bills because they made me feel anxious and overwhelmed and uncomfortable. But when it comes to finances, avoiding the situation just makes it worse, and it becomes this vicious cycle where the longer we avoid it, the more disorganized and chaotic it becomes, or the further we fall behind, and then the more overwhelming it is when we try to re-engage, which just makes us want to avoid it all over again. So I was hiding from the reality of my situation, but that didn't make it any less real. It just made it impossible for me to do anything about it. So avoiding your finances is not a viable solution if what you care about and want is financial security and freedom. The third thing I learned is about how important it is to make a plan for your money. Because if you don't have a plan for your money, trust me, someone else does. 10,000 ads a day. 10,000 ads a day. If you don't know exactly what you want to do with your money, how much of it that you want to be spending on your necessities, how much of it you want to be spending on just things you want, and how much of it you want to be putting away for future you, then it's going to disappear. We don't have a plan for our money, someone else does, and it's going to end up in someone else's pocket. The fourth thing I did is I had to take an honest look at how I spent money habitually and identify the triggers to my overspending. So once you know what triggers your urge to spend, for me, there were some emotional triggers. Sometimes I'd go shopping to make myself feel better. And then there were also environmental triggers. Like, I know if I go to Banana Republic when there's a sale, I'm gonna walk out with less money than I had when I walked in. So I could just not go to the store, right? Once I identified what my triggers were, it was a lot easier to make a plan for what to do when the urge hits. And then also to avoid places and triggers that had me spend more than I wanted to. So if, for example, you feel pressured into spending when you're out with friends, set yourself a budget for the night and leave your credit cards at home. Only carry cash and say, like, all right, I can spend the amount that I have and no more, so that you don't need to rely on your willpower in the most tempting moments. Like, avoid those situations or set up friction or boundaries that make it harder to break your budget when you're in those situations. Like, I have a friend who's tempted to go on a shopping spree every time that she goes to Target, so she figured out if she places her Target orders online and then just goes and picks them up curbside, instead of wandering the aisles and spotting like all of the stuff that she didn't even know she wanted, she saves a lot of money. The fifth thing I learned is about spending in alignment with your values. This is a life-changing concept if you've never heard of it before. What I was really doing was spending unconsciously, right? I was letting those advertisers determine what my money was going to be spent on versus really thoughtfully reflecting on my life, reflecting on what's important to me, reflecting on the things that give me joy, and making sure that I was using money to enhance all of those. So what do you value in life? Is it your creativity? Is it your adventure? Is it a sense of freedom or security? Make a plan for how you can spend money more intentionally. We got a video I'll link to right here on how to do that, so that you're spending money on ways that really truly enhance your life, and then you can feel great about it. Now, the most important thing I learned when I stopped overspending is that self-discipline doesn't have to be painful. I have a friend who found out that she was allergic to dairy and gluten, and because of that, she had to eliminate a lot of foods that she loved from her diet. But when she did it, after it took effect, she felt so much better. She didn't have these digestive issues anymore, her skin cleared up, she had way more energy, so much that she realized it wasn't a sacrifice to give up these foods anymore, because what she was getting out of it was so much better than the temporary satisfaction she had when she ate them. This often applies to cutting back on spending. When you are clear on what you truly value, and you focus on your financial goals and what you need to do to hit them, and then spend the rest of your money in alignment with your values, it stops feeling like sacrifice. We hear this over and over again from clients in our program in the $1 Million Year. When they start spending better, they realize they actually don't feel deprived, and they're able to do things that they thought were out of their reach before, because they've designed their spending in a way that makes something like that possible. And the ultimate long-term payoff that they get from accelerating their timeline to investing or increasing the amount of money that they're investing and seeing that money grow and compound over time totally passively is so worth the short-term decision for that long-term payoff. Once I became more intentional about my spending, I was able to live with a lot greater peace of mind. Helping to get control of my money gave me more and more confidence with money, had me use it more intentionally, me investing in myself, and ultimately led to me starting my own businesses and really starting to change my financial situation in a very dramatic way. But it all started with getting my spending under control. If you want some more tips on how to avoid impulse spending or buying things you don't really need, then we've got a whole playlist on minimalism and money, which you should check out on our channel, and I'll link to that down below. And if you want to learn more about my story of how I got out of debt and started investing, we've got a video on that too, which I will link to as well. All right, hope you enjoyed this one. We'll see you next time.